Hey, good morning to everybody. Happy Monday. It's Daryl here. It's bright and freaking early, man. It's 3 a.m. here in Connecticut on the East Coast. Okay, I was starting my workout this morning, actually, about a half hour ago, and starting my push-ups. And I was thinking about my recovery over the last 18 years, 18 and a half years, actually. And I want to tell you, I'm going to talk about something that happened yesterday and made me think about how I always tell you guys, recovery is possible. I was a full-blown heroin junkie and crackhead, and everything else. I did that every day, every single day for decades, 2 decades. And I've been clean and sober since October 23rd, 2006. Let me tell you about two of the worst days, family-wise. My family had it with me after 2 decades of hard drug use, lying, stealing, manipulating, begging, borrowing. I almost ruined the relationships between my sister and her husband and my mother and her husband. And let me tell you about the two of the worst days I remember. This was about 19 years ago. I was at a keg party down the street from my parents' house. It happened to be right down the street from my parents' house. And I was drinking throughout the day, and I started to get the urge for cocaine, as I always did, or crack. And I spent the money I had. Of course, I had maybe, $60 on me. And I spent it. So I walked over to my parents' house, and I made up a lie. I knocked on the door. I'd been drinking. And I was like, could I borrow some money for... I don't remember the reason I made up, And I see my stepfather sitting there, and he's trying to watch golf. It's a Sunday. And I'm interrupting their family, their life. And she sneaks me a little money. My mother gives me a little money, and I leave. I spend it. I go back later, about an hour and a half later. It's about 2 p.m. now. Make up another lie. I see my stepfather sitting there still trying to watch golf, still looking more aggravated. She slips me a little more money. Second time, I go away. I do the same thing again, another hour and a half later, 2 hours later. I go buy some crack, smoke it, and I go back a third time. And my stepfather's a very quiet gentleman. Both my mother and my stepfather were mail delivery people, postal workers. Very quiet, respectful people. My stepfather got up and started screaming. Looking back, I don't blame him one bit. He told me, "I want you out of here." He says, this bullshit's ridiculous. I can't have you coming over here all the time lying. And he just snapped and yelled at me. My mother was a little taken aback, trying to protect her son and everything. And I was a little surprised. So he basically threw me out of the house, swearing and everything. This links up to what happened yesterday. Another incident with my mom. She was on her postal route. And I was going to beg money from her, as I always did. And I did that almost every day. She would leave the post office to go on her route. And I would find her on her route at as soon as she left the post office at 9 or 10 in the morning, so I could bum some money to go buy my heroin for the day. I'm so ashamed telling you guys, this is one of the lowest things I've done. And I got some money from her. And I spent it. I went back later. But I'm ashamed to actually say I did this. I took a steak knife and I cut my arms, just kind of light cuts, for sympathy, to make it look like I tried to commit suicide. I didn't really try, but I thought I was, try to play her for more money. I actually did this. And I pulled up, and I started to show her my arms. And it didn't work this time. I saw the look on her face, and she just said, "Daryl, I'm done with you. Just go, do whatever you're gonna do, and don't come back." And I was stunned. Looking back, even then I knew I deserved this. Even then I knew what I was doing was wrong. And there was times when I got the money and I would actually drive away crying because I was so conflicted inside. Because what I was doing, I knew it was wrong. I was doing this to my family, but I couldn't stop myself. And I would sell everything in my apartment. I bought 3 Xboxes, like 3 in a row. I bought one. I pawned it. I went into rehab. I got out of rehab. stayed clean for a few days, bought a new Xbox, started using it again, pawned it, lost it, went to rehab, got out, stayed clean for a few days, bought another one, pawned it. Swear to God, 3 times. I couldn't even keep my own Xboxes. Okay, so this brings me to, like I said, recovery is possible. I've been totally clean and sober for 18 and a half years. And our relationship is mended. My family trusts me 100% again. They know I'm clean. They trust me now. About 3 years ago, during COVID, my apartment got sold. My landlord was going to move to Florida. And I had a hard time finding a place during COVID. I couldn't find an apartment at all. And I'd been clean and sober to this point for 15 years. And my sisters told me, you can move in with me and my husband. And she gave me a key to the apartment. She gave it not to the apartment, to her house. She gave me keys to her house and took me in. And I stayed there for 3 weeks until I got this apartment. But even after 15 years of being clean and sober, I was so honored. It meant so much to me that I had earned her trust back, so much to the point where she was willing to trust me alone in her house for weeks, with all her belongings and everything. That's, I had earned, I'm getting goosebumps, I had earned that trust back. And that, money, nothing else in the world means anything to me more than that right there, earning the trust of my family back and the love of my family, the trust and love. And, I was so honored. I can't believe the goosebumps I'm getting right now. So yesterday, I did a video a few days back telling you guys, I sold my older car I had for 14 years, 2009 Honda Fit. I sold it and I bought a new car for my stepfather, a 2022 Honda Civic. And I'm paying the regular price for it. I'm not trying to get a special deal or anything like that. And I found out that I can't register it for 3 weeks. You have to make appointments at DMV, so I have to wait 3 weeks to register it. And just yesterday, I found out that my stepfather and my mom, she came over and visited me. We sat and talked and laughed for a couple hours here yesterday. And she said, "You know what? As long as I get my insurance, as long as I put my own personal insurance, which I'm doing today, I'm switching the insurance from my 2009 Fit, which I sold, to the new car I just bought, even though I can't register it for 3 weeks." And my mom said, "Well, your stepfather said, as long as you put the insurance on it, we'll let you take the car. We'll take the car and drive it with their plates on it until you get it registered." And I would have never even dreamed of asking them to do this, because it's still going to be registered in their names. It'll be under my insurance, but it'll be registered in their names. 18 years ago, 19 years ago, this would have never, ever happened, that they would trust me to drive a car registered to them and give it to me to drive 24/7, or what my sister did, allowing me to stay in her house, alone for weeks with the keys, with everything she owns. It means more to me than anything in this world that I've earned that honor back. And it is possible. That's out of everything I've accomplished in the last 18 and a half years, those things mean more to me by far than anything else. Recovery is possible. My life now is better than I could have ever imagined. I actually feel normal for the first time in my life. And if you use, if you have experience with drugs and alcohol, if you ever started using when you were younger, you know what I'm saying. I don't feel like I need anything. I feel I'm happy with myself today when I wake up in the morning. I feel normal. I don't need anything to change how I feel. And that's a first. Recovery is possible. Life is good. Have a good Monday.